consultant work for tribes across the United States and even some non-tribal programs. We'd like to welcome you to our first Energy Symposium here on the Colorado River Indian Reservation. As we start, we'll start off with the blessing. I'd like to introduce Pastor Darrell Grissom. Mr. Grissom is a known pastor on our reservation who's always been there for our community, for our people, to give spiritual support, guidance, and direction, and he's well respected in our tribal community. And so we'd like to ask him to say a prayer before we start. He also likes renewable energy.
Shall we pray? Merciful and mighty God, God of truth, love, and power, we pray your blessing upon this gathering and all that will be said and done. We pray, Lord, for your favor in this very noble endeavor. Grant wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. These are our prayers. Let your favor be upon the people of the land. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sir. I'd also like to introduce to you our tribal queens who are here tonight. If you could stand, please. They are newly selected. They are here today. And so as promised in our announcement, we are going to provide dinner for you tonight. We'd like to thank Pastor Grissom's wife, Mother Grissom, who prepared our meal for tonight's event. She cooked by herself for 150 people. We'd like to thank her very much. And so what we'd like to do, those elders, if you could raise your hand, and our tribal princesses, queens will serve you. And then once they're done, we'll ask that you can get up and grab yourself a plate. So raise your hand as high as Ben Gay will let you raise it. So we're going to keep going. As we're here today, one day out of the blue, we've been working to try to get renewable energy on the Colorado River Indian Tribe for a while, about 8 years. And we kept asking the people, we never really got a response. And in this past few months, we started hearing of tribal members wanting to know about renewable energy. What is renewable energy? What is it? How will it benefit us? What is the cost? And so today, we're here today to talk to you not about go do it, go get a loan, go do it. What we're here today is to talk about, let us educate you of what renewable energy is. So you can go home. We're going to stir your mind to find out what it is. And you can go home and maybe do your own research. And maybe you can start asking more questions to your tribal council of how can this benefit our community? How can it benefit you? Why, the big questions, why is the dam not working? Why are you paying so much money to APS? Why don't we have our own utility? Why don't we benefit financially from our own utility? Why don't we have other economic benefits for our community, such as maybe the thought of data centers, maybe the thought of a utility solar, maybe carport solar, maybe carport solar at the tribal office? Who's paying these bills? And why are we paying such a high rate here? We know we live in the desert. We know it gets 110, 115, 120, 122, 124. And we know that we go to the river in the summer, but when we have to come home, what are we coming home to? The skyrocket bill? I'm going to tell you a story. When I was young, I grew up with 11 of us in our family. And as a typical tribal people, we didn't grow up rich. We grew up poor. We didn't have money. And we didn't have, we had things that happened in our tribal community to our family. so my mom was the only one that was working. And at some point she got laid off, and it was actually during Christmas. And we didn't have no money. We didn't have anything. And so we got a notice that our power was going to be turned off. And I remember she said, I have like $25. And this was in the 60s, 68, 69. And she said, I have $25. We could go pay the $25 and keep the electricity on for another couple of weeks or a month. Or we could just, have a Christmas and then the lights go out. And I remember as a young child, being 5, 6, 7, or 8, we were angry. We were angry that someone would come and turn off our power and have us do without. And so every time the power man would come to check our meter, we were sitting there with rocks. And when he'd come out, we'd throw him at his car truck, we'd throw it at him. We made a point to just be obnoxiously mean and mad. And so when that happened, my mom said, well, it's just going to happen. We're not going to have power for Christmas. And we were sitting there, and she said, he's going to come on this day, and they're going to turn off the power. And I remember we were so angry and mad, and we villainized the meter reader, the guy that came to check it. And we had our rocks, and we waited one afternoon for him to come. But what we didn't know until we found out a day later, that man paid our power bill. And we didn't know that till the day later, and we thought we were going to go without. And so the effect of energy on children, the effect on energy on families on a reservation are real. And so we look at this and we start thinking about energy sovereignty. What does that mean? What does that mean when we're talking about how can we take something for granted, but yet not know the significance it has in our daily life, in our pocketbook, in the way we live? And how do we convince tribal council or those that make decisions for our people that we need to start looking at this as economics for the betterment of our people, not just in the power, but in the jobs and in the training and the careers and the movement of our economics from low level to mid-level to high level to doing very well. How do we use these projects to better us? And so today, we're going to talk about that. You're going to hear from the different communities of what's happening in real time in Indian country. You're going to hear what are the big projects, what are the home projects on the reservation, what are the careers that are happening on Indian reservations, what are the innovative factors that tribal organizations are doing off the reservation that are supplementing. We work in this field and we see all different kinds of energy, from the tribes that have no infrastructure, maybe just someone who wants a lower power bill for grandma, to those sophisticated tribes that are moving, that are doing stuff way off the reservation for economic development that's bringing long-term money for the tribe. And it's not small money, it's big money. And so we want to present this to you as an idea of thought to think about. And so we're not here to give you a meal and sell you or make or tell you to do something. We're here to give you information to think about this, see where we're at, and where can we go as a people. And I'm a member here. I grew up here. I'm like the little Indian guy that would bust your window when you came to my mom's house. I know what it's like to be poverty. I know what it's like to live here. I know what it's like in the summer, how much we pay, and I know it's hot as heck because I passed out here over the summer because it was so hot. So I know the effect of heat, but I also know how life can be changed for us if we choose. We know that if we look at our housing developments, 100 homes, 50 homes, Mochem, why don't we think about a microgrid? Why don't we think about a microgrid on this casino? To power it, to reduce the cost of of the tribe paying out all this money. You know, I would say we're paying the money to the dam, and that money is being for us, but it's going to APS. It's not going to the tribe. So who's benefiting off of us? The state agency that's regulated, not us. And how come it doesn't come back to us, but it goes out? And so these are the questions to look at. And I think the thing for me to really want to tell you is this: have an open mind. Have an open mind to think about this, and to actually not come at us as if we're adverse. We're here as a fellow tribal people to share the knowledge and information we have. And if you take it, that's great. And if you don't take it, that's okay. And if you think, but you think about this when you're paying that power bill, $150 to $200 more than what you're paying, where is that money going? And where is it going in your community? Is it staying in your community, or is it going out? And so I think that's something to think about as we're talking about this. My first guest is, we met about a year and a half ago. He's a tribal member. He's working in renewable energy. And he, you know, the thing about our tribe is we were adverse, and we looked at these large solar utilities out in the California desert. We know how to fight solar. We know how to use our cultural perspective, our traditional ways, our landmarks, and how to really try to secure the integrity of our land. But we never knew how to work with renewable energy and how it could benefit from us. And so tonight I'd like to introduce Mr. Bob Blake. He'll talk to you about large utility on tribal lands. So please, Mr. Bob Blake. Oops, my bad. I've been known to make a lot of mistakes, and I'm doing it live on the podcast. Oh gosh. My mom and dad would be proud of me, so I better stand up straight. I'm messing it up. So, we're going to talk about Mythbusters. And so, I'd like to introduce Jen Ruda. She is the CEO of Seven Skyline, and she'll talk to you and a couple of our other cohorts on Mythbusters.
So while we do Mythbusters, thank you. If you could please feel free to head to the back of the room and enjoy our delicious meal. The elders have been served, and so if the rest of the folks here, please go ahead and get yourself a plate of spaghetti. And while we're having dinner, we'll have a chance to talk about Mythbusters. People have concerns about having solar on the reservation, and we wanted to talk about how we could resolve some of those barriers. And I'd like to introduce two of my colleagues, Montana Small and Angelina Papaki, to come join me for Mythbusters. Fantastic. So Mitchell's got the slides up there. So if you each stand on one side of me, I think that they'll be able to see us on the podcast. Thank you to everybody on the podcast this evening for joining us. Really appreciate that you spent some time to tune in. Okay, so Mythbusters, we want to talk about several topics that we've heard raised that are concerns, and I'm going to go ahead and have Montana help me with the first couple.
Hi everyone, my name is Montana Small. I am an associate planner and grant writer for Seven Skyline, and I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I work to support the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs.
Hi, I'm Angelina Papaki. I'm from the Meskwaki Nation of Iowa. I live in Minneapolis, and I'm the Energy Project Manager for Seven Skyline.
So on this first slide, this is a picture of the U.S. with the star is here at the Colorado River Indian Tribes. And I wanted to show this slide to start to give folks some context. The southwest of the U.S. is a place that is producing and using more renewable energy than anybody else in the country. And so you are right here in the middle of a space that is going to have a market for renewable power going forward. It's leading buying green power, leading producing green power. So if the tribe chooses to move ahead with renewable energy in any form, there's going to be a market to sell that power going forward.
Okay, so renewable, for the first one, renewable power is too expensive. That is a myth. And actually there are several resources available to the tribe, such as the IRA direct pay program, grants, rebates, and incentives, as well as partially forgivable low-interest loans and financing options for tribes to invest in infrastructure.
And we also threw up a little graph there from Canary Media, and it can show you that over time, the price of renewable power, wind, solar, has dropped quite a bit between 2016 and the present, and the continued price drop is expected compared to fossil fuels and coal. So that means that the market is telling you that it makes financial sense to continue to develop renewable power.
All right, and for number 2, renewable power will not get funded over the next 4 years. That is a myth as well. There is energy transition funding for tribes. There's federal, state, private, nonprofit, and philanthropic sources, as well as cost savings over fossil fuels. And if you pick the right projects for your community, such as weatherization is a popular one for a lot of communities, heat pumps, solar, and then you've got wind, green hydrogen, and geothermal options, and as well as bipartisan support for responsible renewable transition.
Thanks, Montana. And a lot of there are folks here tonight that offer federal funding. There are folks here from nonprofits and philanthropies that would be happy to partner with the tribe to find ways to fund the projects that you might like to build. And this other graph that we have up shows that back from 2010 to 2016, there was a little bit of investment in renewables that doubled to 2023, and you can see it's going to more than double again between 2024 and the next few years. So the money is going to be there to invest in these renewables, and it would make sense if the tribal community is interested to go ahead and try to get a piece of that pie so you can develop renewable power that will serve your community.
All right, and myth number 3, solar power is not compatible with protecting cultural resources. And that is a myth as well. It can be compatible if the right protections are in place.
So we're going to bust this myth. It turns out that solar power can be very compatible with protecting cultural resources. The photo we have here is a picture of folks from our team up on the Yakama Nation in Washington. We are helping them build their sovereign solar project, and they have sited it along the right-of-way of a water canal. What they did was they piped the water, and they are burying it, and that right-of-way is already disturbed, and the Cultural Resources Department has decided that is the best location for solar on the entire reservation because they aren't going to affect other resources. It's already a right-of-way. It already is a space that's going to have room for solar. It's just going to be a long, skinny solar project. So by responsible siting, they're protecting the other resources on the nation, but also providing an opportunity for the community to benefit from solar power. So that kind of collaboration between the TIPO officer, the cultural resources staff, and the elders and other community members that have an interest and would like to participate in the siting process can work together to find a way where renewable power can fit with your reservation. In addition, you can site solar on rooftops, on carports, on parking lots for tribal administration building. There's a lot of places where solar can go that's not going to be impeding or harming cultural resources, and we're happy to work with you to figure out where those places might be. And you can site projects on previously disturbed lands, like landfills, places that are already a place that need to have reuse. We can hopefully use those to then put in a renewable power project. So co-locating with other infrastructure is also helpful, like power lines, pipelines, those things can potentially be areas where you can start site renewables next door. And we have engineering teams here present tonight, Several of them will provide a little cameo during our lightning round, and they are the folks that would be delighted to work with the tribes to site renewables responsibly. So myth busted. All right, Angelina, a few more.
Okay, so myth number 4 is energy storage is unsafe and unneeded. Actually, energy storage pairs with renewables, offers 24/7 firm power, and aids shift away from fossil fuels. Design updates and mitigation measures reduce the risk of fire from lithium-ion batteries. Some examples of non-lithium options selected by other tribes include iron-air batteries for long-duration storage, gravity-based pump storage systems, and hydrogen storage systems.
The photo we have up tonight is one from a public meeting that we had at the Warm Springs Reservation in Oregon. It was a solar and salsa event at a local Mexican restaurant, and we invited folks in the community to come ask questions. If you're concerned about safety, if you're concerned about where these projects should go, what kind of technologies are available that would be a good fit, that's a great way to help the community understand the risks and also how you can mitigate those.
Okay, so myth number 5 is we have no control over increasing power bills. So what can tribes do to be in the driver's seat on energy? This includes low-cost energy audits, community surveys, energy plans, passing a green energy resolution. Some other examples can include documenting current and changing energy needs in the community, saving money on energy bills, identifying grant resources for capacity building and pilot projects, establishing a tribal energy program or tribal energy enterprise, to provide local energy development expertise and program support, or focusing on energy transition projects of importance to the community members.
And this photo that we have up is out at the Seneca Nation's Community Solar Project in New York. We're really excited to be able to go visit that this summer. It's an example of the tribe that has a tribal utility, Seneca Power, and they have been helping the tribe build projects that make sense to build revenue and also resiliency for their community. And if you're not quite ready to decide to go ahead and form a tribal utility, then you can be at the stage where you get a feasibility study completed to see what the costs and benefits might be. It's also, you can put together a tribal energy program or a tribal energy enterprise. There's a lot of ways where tribes can step up, assert their energy sovereignty, and start to take control of the options out there. Yakima Power is an example of a utility where they have bought out the distribution lines and the other energy infrastructure on the reservation in order to be able to offer jobs to the team, the community, and also to be able to keep a lot of the money related to power on the reservation. So those kind of options are available to create if you'd like to build a power program here in Parker.
Okay, some additional benefits of renewable energy transition for tribal communities include career green energy jobs and workforce training, local business development opportunities, public health and safety improvements, and sustainable long-term revenue for tribal governments.
And this photo here shows us out with Bob Blake on the Red Lake Nation, and Red Lake is an example of a tribe that's doing all of these things that Angelina just mentioned. They are building jobs and workforce opportunities. They are putting in projects that make sense for their community, from community scale to utility scale, to generate revenue. And we were really excited to be out there with Bob to take a look at how the projects are going to look and how they're going to really help the community with their energy program. And for our last slide, we're just going to show you some other photos of our team out with community members in Arizona and other places across the country in California. We really enjoyed being invited out to help people figure out their customized energy programs. And people have a question of how can we get solar on our homes? And there's a program called Solar for All that is coming out, we rolled out this summer. And this program is going to provide $7 billion of funding for over 900,000 homes. And some of those homes should be here. And your planning office, your elected officials can choose to sign up for that program. And then folks can qualify to have their homes get solar power on them. And you can qualify if you're a renter or an owner or part of one of the public housing units. All of those can have solar on them, and the funding is available. And even if you're a renter, there are options open to you. We're going to have a demo from Gizmo Power tonight. They offer a solar carport solution that is portable. So we're going to show you one of those later tonight so you can see what it looks like. It's parked out in the parking lot here. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that renewable power is available for everyone. And so you're welcome to ask a lot of our experts that we have here tonight about how to build it, what it looks like, what it could cost. And we're really delighted about the options that are open for grid. Thank you very much.
Oh, remember, on your table are things you can write down questions on. You can write your questions on that. We'll pick it up. Again, we'll come back around. We'll pick those up. And then when we do our recording, we'll get hold of you to answer the questions that you have if we don't get to it today. So, with that, if you want to get up and get your chow, you're more than welcome to. It's not going anywhere, so you can take your time. But please, if I could introduce to you Mr. Bob Blake. Bob came all the way from Minnesota to be here tonight.
Miigwech, ani bushu everyone. My name is Bob Blake, and I am a tribal citizen of the Red Lake Nation. I always tell people I'm Bob Blake from Red Lake. I actually didn't do any slides, but I got tons of slide decks, but I didn't give Mitchell a slide deck, right? I just sent him some stuff just recently. And what we're doing in Red Lake is I got really I went to my tribal council and I just said, hey, can I build a solar project on top of our government center? And they said, well, not really, because you're going to burn down the building. But we ended up building. I got to go ahead to build a 80 kilowatt solar system on top of the Red Lake Nation Government Center, and it's shaped like an eagle, and it got all this national attention because it's shaped like an eagle, and there's solar on top of it. But that picture though went out around the country, went out worldwide, did a bunch of interviews, stuff like that. It was really cool. So I got really lucky being able to let my tribe do that. And then they appreciated all the attention they got. And then they said, well, hey, if you want to do some more projects, go for it. So I ended up being able to secure $32 million in grants to do different work in Red Lake Nation. At last count, I completed let's see here, about eight commercial projects now, 8 commercial solar projects now around the state of Minnesota. It got really popular really quick, and actually so much work now that I have to actually start hiring people actually probably now to help me do this stuff. Ended up starting a nonprofit called Native Son Community Power Development. Had a concept, had an idea to build an electric charging network throughout the entire Midwest. We were protesting a pipeline. They were building a pipeline in our community, and I thought, well, if they're going to build oil pipelines through our community, then I'm going to build an electric charging station network pipeline, and the oil companies may win the battle, but I'm going to win the war, you know. And so, so at last count, we got 21 tribes signed up so far to do it. I got awarded Michigan and Wisconsin to expand it from the Department of Energy, and then we also have a proposal out going out into the West Coast. So that's been going really good. Including in all this is workforce development, and also we've got training methods, and we've also been going into energy efficiency stuff, EV tech stuff. We've got electric bikes that we're working with Best Buy on now to bring in electric bikes into the community. So we got a program working with Best Buy now. And through all this too, we also also been able to create the Solar Cup program, so K to 12. Real quickly, when I did the project, we had a bunch of the kids from the school come in, and they said that they wanted to meet Solar Bear. My company's name is Solar Bear, by the way. Gizi Somakwa, that's how we say it in Ojibwe language. And the kids came into the chairman's office and they said, Chairman Siki, we wanna meet Solar Bear. And our chairman goes, Bob Blake isn't here right now. And they said, we don't wanna meet Bob Blake, we wanna meet Solar Bear. So right then and there, I started thinking to myself, I don't think it would be right if we took this journey with renewable energy if we didn't bring the kids along for the ride. Yeah, and so, got a grant from NOAA. I submitted a grant to NOAA for the curriculum, and we're going to be piloting that program this coming year at the Red Lake Immersion School. So basically, real quickly, it's the Solar Bear family. They come down from the North Pole. They come into a tribal community, a tribal village, and what they say is they say, hey, our home is melting. Can you guys help us save it? And then the clan animals, they meet the clan animals. The clan animals say, yes, we can help you, but you're going to need the help of the humans. And comes in a little native girl with the pigtails, and she says, bonjour, and the bears say, hello, nice to meet you. And then she says, bonjour, and then the bears say, what does that mean? And they say, it's after Nana Buju, the trickster. And the trickster teaches the people, the Anishinaabe, these stories so they know how to deal with the outside world so they're not tricked. But when they get to know you, they say, Ani. And so right there, we just taught culture and language. I was told that our kids, our native youth, graduate at a much higher level if they have culture and language integrated into the curriculum. So that's my hope here. I think we just saw a native girl that won a science scholarship that cures cancer now because of old traditional medicines by native people, right? And so that's what I'm saying. I want to find, we got some native Einsteins and native Teslas out there. That's what I want to get to with the Solar Cup program. Incidentally, the Solar Cup program can be, and I had folks come up to me and ask me, can the bears speak Spanish? Can they speak Hmong? Can they speak, any other language? And I say, absolutely, the bears can. You just have to translate it. So I'm hoping that this will be a pilot program and we can get it out. We have another application going out to some foundations next. So really excited about all this work. We're doing electric vehicles, so like I said, charging stations, utility scale. That's what Dave wanted me to talk about real quick. We were building a utility scale, sorry about that, utility scale photovoltaic project on the eastern side of Red Lake, 20 megawatts. We have a power purchase agreement with the University of Minnesota. They're going to be buying the power from us. We're then going to put those funds back into the community to serve the community, and then that will be paid off in roughly 20 years, but all those savings will go back into the community. We have a thing called energy poverty in our community, so a lot of folks can't pay their electric bills. So that's what this 20 megawatts can do. We're building 2 microgrids. We got a grant for 2 microgrids that we're going to be doing. We also have a 1.5 megawatt electric vehicle battery that we're going to be implementing into these projects. And then we also have a few other things that we're doing with a C-suite grant. So we're working with the DOE, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and FEMA on all 3 of those different grants right there. And we already won the electric vehicle reuse battery grant. So a lot of things are happening in Red Lake, a lot of good things. But I just wanted to be able to tell y'all, like, if you think it or if you can dream it. I had no background in this. I was just telling Henry, I've seen guys like him doing this work in his community, and I thought to myself, man, I think I could do it. And I firmly believe that there's a human health crisis taking place in our tribal communities, and I believe that renewable energy can help solve it. And so every time that I see, every time I hear back home in Red Lake, someone's committing suicide or someone's dying, I just think that's one person that I could have saved. So that's what pushes me, that's what makes me want to go forward with all this stuff. And then incidentally, I've got a graduate degree in policy. We were able to create the first Tribal Energy Advisory Board in the state of Minnesota. I encourage you all to take a look at this piece of legislation that I got passed at the state level. You can go ahead and get that done here in Arizona, but I think we've always worked on a federal side. I think we need to work on a state side too, and that's what we were able to do with this. understand I do got a lieutenant governor that is Native American, Peggy Flanagan, so she's my friend. So I got a little help on that side to be able to get these things done, but we got that initiative passed, and it's working just fine right now. All the tribes are all kind of planning out their future, their energy projects together. I swear, I just attended my first TASTE. It's called TASTE, Tribal. I forgot what the acronym is for, but oh man, I was about to cry looking at all the tribes in there that were all talking about all the different energy projects that they want to do in the state of Minnesota, and it just makes me so proud and so happy. So thank you all for having me. Mikovich Dave for having me here, Jen, and if you have any questions, or I'm an open book, and I will share everything and anything with everyone. So thank you for having me.
So here in Crit,
Working with large corporations has a history of leading to exploitation and bad deals. And my job, as I see it, when I select partners to work with, that we put our company's name behind, is to select corporations that we know the people inside of, we know their values, and then most importantly, we set up the contracts so that they are locked into the deals that we've decided are appropriate. And that way we can have confidence, and our board, who's all Senecas, can have confidence that we are on the side of our tribal partners. I think we should probably go to the next slide, but I can wing it if not. I got more stuff to say.
wing it.
Or I'll keep winging it. An example of what the Seneca Nation is doing on territory is the solar projects you see here and the wind projects you see here. Dave was standing in front of one in another picture. But those projects are called community solar and wind. So the Seneca Nation owns those assets. A lot of it got built with grant money. And then all of the Seneca Nation members who pay power bills get I think it's $25 off their power bill every month because those assets are owned by the tribe, or by the nation. And the reason that was set up that way, and the people responsible for that are actually the utility of the Seneca Nation, called Seneca Energy. Anthony Giacobbe is the general manager there and is happy to speak to anyone about setting up a tribal utility. But the outcome is that these are standout projects way back in 2017 that show one path towards building assets that serve your community and save money on power bills. I talked a bit about our approach to how to collaborate as a developer between tribal nations, the old way versus our new way. Happy to share these slides, but it comes down to one thing, which is actually building real partnerships and not exploitative, where one side has more information than the other and uses that to their advantage. Go to the next slide. And go to the next one too. I want to talk about data centers as soon as we get there. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you. Another component of renewable energy projects at this scale is that we can actually do more with the land than just simply strip mine it and put solar panels on top of it. A lot of people are using sheep and using this as multi-use grazing land. The sheep really like the shade, as do some plants. In arid conditions, like here, the solar panels can actually protect the water in the soil and make this soil potentially more beneficial to biodiversity, to growing native plants, and to increasing the amount of life under the solar panels. So we can look at that when we actually do these planning projects and see what else can happen alongside the solar. We call these our plus ones. I have to think for projects be done with a partner that is trustworthy, and I'm actually currently seeking those partners right now in the corporate world who want to build data centers. I know there's some who may be in the room, and we have plans to talk later, and I'm looking forward to that. But I want to understand how committed these data centers are to the place that they are sited, and find the perfect partner who's really going to stick with the community and understand building a community benefits agreement for data centers. This is a huge opportunity, as I said before, to build economic development in communities that have that are ideal locations for data centers. And those data centers then can become a customer for that power that is renewably produced by the community. Before I'm being told to wrap it up. I'm happy to share these slides with anyone who's interested in more. But if we can go to the last slide, let's see the contact information. That's good, thank you. Just to conclude, again, thank you for having me. It's a beautiful place to be. My drive-in was amazing, and I just feel so honored to be standing on a stage with people like Dave Harper, with people like sitting at this front table here with Bob, trying to build this future that I think that we all share, a vision for tribally owned renewable energy that that reverses this long-term position of members of Native communities being the takers of prices instead of the owners of assets. So if I can be helpful on that journey to you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to contact me and reach out. And with that, I will hand this back to Dave. Thank you so much.
So, we talked about large utility scale solar. We talked about tribal utility. And now, we're moving on. Are we on a break? Are you next? Okay. Please, let me introduce Shawnee LaFoon.
Hi everyone, my name is Shawnee LaFoon. I'm a CRIT tribal member and I serve as a grants manager on 7th Skyline. So I'm just going to do a quick recognition and a big shout out to all our sponsors for the event. So we got Gizmo Power, US Energy Foundation, Red Cloud Renewable, Bar Engineering, Timberline Renewable Solutions, Seneca Environmental, Schneider Electric, Kimley Horn, 7G Foundation, Larson and Tubro, Oista, the Nature Conservancy, CRIT Fire Department, the CRIT Bluewater Resort and Casino, and then the Lily of the Valley Church. And then I'm going to take it over to Miss Ed over here, and she's going to do some raffle prizes. So take out your tickets that you got earlier.
Testing. Chimigwech, David. First I want to say, Bonjour, Kinawea, Gabe Dwashnik, Mungo, Mojave, Nishnabia, King Minwa, Chimwavi, Minwa Dash, Dene Minwa, Hopi lands also. Just want to say thanks to everyone for coming out to Mojave and Chimwavi lands, and Navajo and Hopi we're here as well. I'm real grateful to be here, especially I just wanted to say, just prior to this, it's real inspiring hearing those young women speaking the language. And you know, back home where I'm from, I'm Anishinaabeg and Mohawk. But in Anishinaabe language, sometimes you'll hear, we always say, Binoji Konji. We do it for the kids. Like whatever you do, they'll just kind of, you know, speak a lot of English, but you're Binoji Konji. And so I just want to acknowledge the young folks that are here. It's really inspiring to see kind of the real people here, the grassroots community, because this is really what it's about, the bottom up. And so let me jump into the presentation. I think Mitchell might have some slides. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to kind of go over some of the slides that I have, but just to say I'll be here and happy to talk with anybody about building your projects in your communities. I enjoyed talking with everyone, so feel free to come up. It's something I really love is the people I get a chance to meet with. So what is the Loan Programs Office? The Loan Programs Office, we're the premier public financing partner for energy, and so we provide loans for large-scale energy projects generally. And I'll say just a quick note that we're separate from the Office of Indian Energy. We work closely with a lot of the folks here may know Wahala Johns, the Office of Indian Energy. We work closely with them. They have a lot of grant dollars that tribal communities access, and we work with them to, one theme that comes out from all the presenters that here is that once you devote your life to whatever that may be, energy, education, you know, a lot of these projects take years. Building in grassroots, you build one project, you build a little bit bigger, you take a bigger bite, and even still a bigger bite. And so Office of Indian Energy is one of our trusted partners. We provide debt financing, and it's for high-impact, large-scale energy projects in the U.S. Those small icons, I'll just say this, that our office funds any type of energy, whether it be solar, wind, offshore wind, there's even like nuclear, hydro, fossil, anything that's new coming up, electric vehicles. So I'll put this out there. If anyone is interested in projects, come talk to us and use us as a resource, because we have technical folks of every flavor and technology. And I'll just go back briefly before we met, before this meeting started, I got a chance to interview with Mitchell here in this podcast. And I'll say one of the features that I see at our office is that many developers are knocking on the doors of tribes saying, boy, have we got a deal for you. We've looked at your lands, we've looked at all this funding you got, and we have this great plan, just sign here in the dotted line, you're gonna be rich, we're all gonna be rich, we're gonna be. And so, we see that a lot, that sort of theme. And I'll say that the US government is, as such, there's a trust relationship between tribes and the government. And so I consider it a big part of my job to make sure the tribe has the best information available for any project. So as you consider these proposals, feel free to use us as a sounding board to see, is this fair? Is this an actual fair project? Is it really as good as it sounds, as they make it sound? That's part of our job, is to make sure that the tribes are informed as best as possible. Our program, it's a tribal energy financing program. It can be basically a federally recognized tribe or any major tribally owned and controlled entity. It can be a direct loan to the tribe or a loan guarantee. It can be anywhere in the US. It doesn't have to be only their tribal lands. There are some rules around that too. I won't get into all the details and weeds of it, but it can be anywhere. If you wanted to build, for example, adjacent tribal lands, or adjacent lands across the river, or some lands that were traditionally yours, those can be, we can support all of those. Because it's debt, we do look to see that it's financially viable. And the second to last bullet is that we can loan up to 80% of the project cost. costs. So there's a 20% piece there, which represents a barrier that we'll work with you with, work closely with you on. And technology should be demonstrated. We're not going to be, to my earlier point, there's all kinds of energy technologies out there developing at all times, but some of the salesmen, they're trying to find a market, so come talk to us and we can help you kind of sort through what's real, what's legit, and what's maybe science fiction or for the future for now. Some of the features, I'll say we have a huge amount of money, $19.9 billion of tribal lending authority. As of right now, the rule is you just have to get it in to apply by August 31st, 2028. I'll say we're flexible, all deals are different, and again, I just want to return to that point about, as I look at the professionals in this room, it's really an honor, really humbled to be folks who kind of dedicated their lives to working in energy. And Henry is going to talk next, for example, spends a lifetime in energy building projects in the community, grassroots communities. Bob is the same. And so all these deals have a long process to get from point A to point B. And so when you hear the developers sometimes say, well, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about building successes one at a time. And so I'll say that we're flexible, we can meet, and any particular deal is going to take dozens, if not hundreds of meetings to check in about every single aspect of it. And again, LPO is a trusted advisor. Use us to make sure that your tribe has the best information possible. Some of the challenges, the bottom I was going to say, are federal support restriction, the 20% equity. It's debt, so it's different than a grant, but we're here to kind of basically navigate you through that conversation. And next slide, we'll talk about a couple of the other features of our program. All right, thanks. This next slide is about our one and only loan that's out there so far. It's around a $73 million loan to a tribe in Southern California, Viejas. Basically, the tribe has a solar microgrid with battery storage, and this is basically energy sovereignty in action. That microgrid allows the tribe to stay, when constructed, it'll be allowed to function, their casino, their resort, they have a car and RV park, I think they have a C-store. It'll basically allow them to kind of stay up and running if the outside grid goes down. It was basically built as from an Indian developer, Indian Energy LLC. It's a private company of tribal individuals from Sault Ste. Marie, Chippewa, and Turtle Mountain, North Dakota. That's where the individuals are from, and then they each have their respective tribes as investors, that Indian Energy LLC. I do want to make a note about the number of jobs that are coming out of that project, about 250 construction jobs and 8 operations jobs long term. So that's the one we have going so far. So next slide, please. We're basically trying to make the program as broad as possible to accommodate smaller loan sizes, $20 million. We're trying to use all the efforts that the tribe uses to a project, count that as equity, and we're trying to reduce the reliance on outside advisors, trying to streamline the application process. A lot of stuff happening right now, and we're basically building off of public finance rather than on private entities, private finance. So next slide. I think this is the last slide. I'm just going to jump over to the contact information. Again, please come talk to me. It's really my honor to kind of really serve and have this audience, and I'll just kind of end on the point that it's really great to kind of, really grateful for Seven Skyline to getting me out of Michigan to Arizona in the middle of winter, and or just before winter, and really just to be in grassroots and community, because I think grassroots from the bottom up is really the way to go. We've seen enough cases, I think Matt talked about it, historically with energy being used in an exploitive manner. When you talk about corporate entities and tribes, and we know some of that unfortunate history, but grassroots is really where it's at. So I'm honored to see like the young folks here, especially at the table, and the Chimney Wedge for all your attendance, and it's my honor to serve you, so please come talk to me. Thank you all. Thank you, David.
Paul Deerhouse. I'd just like to make a couple of mentions real quick. You know, when I was with the elders, working with the elders in about 20 years ago, this was something like that, 10 years ago, we were fighting solar, and so we were at federal court, we were at the California Energy Commission, and of those 30 elders, I think we only have 1 or 2 left, and so Debbie Carter, she was one of them, raise your hand. And then Stacia, she was with us, and so you know, we'd pop up all kinds of places, ready to bust people up, and then kind of start learning about renewable energy. And then after a while, we were testifying in federal court, California Energy Commission, all these different places. And one day I was driving down the road from San Francisco, and one of the elders goes, "Hey, 3 high." I was like, what? It's 3 high. If you look at that transmission tower, it can only go 3 according to the regulations. And it only can be spaced apart 250 feet on the left side and the right side. I was like, all right, you must have been listening, you know. But it was kind of a trip to hear them talk, you know. They were talking to each other. And so anyways, so, you know, and in that is the grassroots movement. The movement of the people, where the idea, the thought, the spirit, the integrity, the cultural diversity and understanding. We have Indian people who are in that realm who can balance renewable energy and traditional culture and customs. So today I'd like to introduce a person I met about 6 months ago. Very impressed with him. If some of you don't know it, there is a movie called Lakota Nation versus the United States. I just saw that last week, and Henry's in there. Henry's last name is Red Cloud. And if you ever heard of the wars in South Dakota, Chief Red Cloud, that's his great-grandfather? So we have celebrity native blood here. So please, if I could introduce Mr. Henry Red Cloud.
Thank you, Dave. First of all, Chante Washtan, Chiefs up below. Oglala Wichonke, Tonwa Ula, Tai Chi. So greetings one and all. I'm representing the Oglala Lakota. My wife and I, we come from South Dakota. So go ahead and start the slides, please. The slides are randomly gonna go. I started thinking about solar in 1995. I got involved in 1997. Prior to that, my profession was structural steel. I built a lot of high-rises throughout the country. So I had to leave home. But my heart was always at home, and finally I was able to return in 1995. Start looking at solar for myself, and stumbled on the fact that jobs can be created. So then partnerships are really key. You want to start partnering with people that are already doing things. There's no time to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. You have to get involved with the grassroots, Oyate, the grassroots, people that are doing things. We opened the doors to Red Cloud Renewable in 2003. 2003, we start educating our Northern Plain tribes. Today there's 574 federally recognized tribes. And we're working with 70 of them, creating economic opportunities around solar, may it be retail, installation, O&M. And with the 70 tribes that we've been working with, over 1,600 students came through our program. A lot of them repeats because they like the standalone or they like the battery-based systems. So Red Cloud Renewable has been out there on a moccasins on the ground, I could say. We've been out there doing things. So today we stand on 3 pillars. Solar energy technology, teaching that to indigenous people. And then the other thing is energy efficiency. Efficiency. It's really that one there goes hand in hand with any kind of renewables that you're gonna put on your home. So we train around that. We're training new energy auditors, applied weatherization techs, and there's so much funding out there for efficiency, energy audits. So, workforce, development is what we're about. RCR is about promoting workforce development, working with indigenous people with the things that we already know. We already know this stuff. We've been embracing the sun for neons. It's in our culture, our language, our song, our dance, our ceremony. So we're taking this new way and honoring the old way and then becoming sustainable. We could make this happen. I would like to see one of the First Nation communities become energy independent before mainstream America. We can do it. NREL did some studies. NREL acronym for National Renewable Energy Laboratory, based out of Golden, Colorado. They done a feasibility study, my relatives, on clean energy potential to come out of Indian country. And they found that in their studies in the Obama administration that 61 gigs of clean energy can be produced out of Indian country. That's some big numbers. Back in the day when the government put us on all these reservations, they put us here and there where it's too hot, too windy, nothing can grow, and then over time now, the 21st century, we have a commodity. We can do something. We can create energy independence for ourselves. So how do we do that? What do we do? We start partnering with other people that are already doing. I would like to invite the young ones, your children, grandchildren, and that to come up and see what we're doing. Visit us on Red Cloud Renewable redcloudrenewable.org. See what we're doing out there. Send us a 21st century smoke signal, an email, and see how we can partner up together. See what we can do together. Partnerships are very key. You want to look at people that are already doing things. So, with 1,600 plus students that came to our program, we created over 500 jobs. Just here 3 weeks ago, we had a training installation training there with partnerships. And then out of the 18 students that were there, 6 of them went to work last week. People already got hired. So, people are...
There was this pretty powerful, beautiful vision, dream that I had. I'm going to share that with you. The very early morning before the sun crests the eastern horizon, there was this path. I noticed people in all walks of life. Everybody was hand in hand. Kids were skipping, people were laughing, just joy. Everybody was headed to the rise of Ombetui, the sun. And as I looked, then I heard a voice behind me. He called my name. He said, "Henry, Dagu wa chichi pazo delo." He said, "I'd like to show you something." Here was my dad's voice. And his hand was pointed out towards the sun rising. Slowly then, there was a chief's bonnet placed upon my head. And then the next thing I knew, I was in a car. So I looked to my right here to see who was with me. And there was a lot of children sitting in the front seat. They were all happy and excitedly looking towards the east. And then another voice, "Oma kia oyaki he," a woman talking now. "Can you help us?" So I looked in the mirror and I noticed it was full of women sitting back there. So I said, "Yes, I can help you." And at that moment, then I went and woke.
And so every day, no matter where we are, we're walking on our ancestors. But we want to hold that in reverence. We want to hold that. We want to be able to honor them and honor the sacred sites.
I arrived back here on the homeland in 1995. I had a calling for the land, basically. There was a question that I shared amongst my relatives here. And you had one wish, what would that be? And it was always getting back to the old homestead, getting back to the old fireplace. So how does one do that? So I found myself earning natural build. And then while I was out there, I heard him talking about solar. 2003, I went open the doors to Lakota Solar Enterprises. 2008 to Red Cloud Renewable as a training annex throughout indigenous communities. So today we have pretty close to 1,600 students have come through our program and got certified. So with that, 2012, I was contacted by the White House. The president at that time recognized me as a White House champion of change in solar deployment. And he said, I would like to have lunch with you. This was President Barack Obama. Now we have a history in the making. We have 15 indigenous female students here. There's like less than 0.5% out there, indigenous women, or for that matter, women working in the solar field. So we want to bring that up. It's a 200-hour course, and they could go back to their respective communities and they're rooftop ready.
I'm from Nazlini on the Navajo Reservation. I have a dream of making a change in my community. We're making history, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. I'm a self-proclaimed solar baddie. I'm also a single mother of 2 children. And I'm really excited that these other women that I'm out here teaching will also become solar baddies.
I'm from the Northern Cheyenne Reservation of Montana. I've been learning a lot. I'm excited to jump into it. Yeah.
RCR stands on 3 pillars: solar training, energy efficiency, and then we're building these cellular concrete tiny homes. They're hyper efficient. It doesn't take much to cool, probably a fan in the window.
Lee, we need to learn about our language more. That's it. But great. Who's next on the list? Come on up, Cindy. Cindy Harper. She works as a tribal liaison for 7 Skyline. And actually, you know, she's a graduate of Haskell. And, you know, my mom, when I was working with elders and stuff, my mom says, you never know who's going to be that one that's going to step up in tradition and culture and know balance and be willing to understand and learn. And I was that with my mom, and then a lot of the kids here, Sydney. So Sydney's the one that has stepped forward to actually work with tribal communities, tribal government on relationship building, and it just so happens to be in the renewable energy field. And so she's still learning. She came on last year. She's actually going to go into the Yale program to get her certificate to work in renewable energy. And so we're very happy for her, and she's been progressing very well. As long as we are probably one of the only companies that have all Native women working in tribal communities on renewable energy. And so we're very happy. And with that, I'd like to introduce our staff real quick. We met Montana, Cheyenne, if you could raise your hand. She's Navajo, she's working with us. Alicia O'Connell, she's Passamaquoddy, she works with us. Shawnee is here, she works with us. Crit. Angelina, where are you at, Angelina? If she's here, we're probably out front. So these are all, Kristen, where are you at? She's out front. So these are all, it's mostly, it's just me and Rob, right? Yeah, everybody else is all women. So, Sydney, here you go.
Alright, hello everybody. I hope you guys are doing well this evening and you guys got a lot to eat. If you see any red stains on my shirt, please don't ask me if I tore it up because I did tear it up. But anyway, I just want to welcome you guys here again tonight. I really appreciate you guys being out here to, you know, get some knowledge and some information. I know this is kind of new territory for our people, but, you know, as we look around and we see our neighboring tribes kind of developing, we're kind of in the back, not in the forefront. So as we go about our ways after this evening, you guys all take something. But again, there's a lot of food left over, so please help yourselves. And we'll get into mine. We're going to have a panel discussion, local tribe renewable projects and programs. If I can have Chairman Glenn Lodge and Alan Welch from Mojave Elders come up here, please. All right, I'll start off with introductions. I'll give them the mic so they can tell you a little bit about themselves.
Good evening and welcome. I want to talk about something that's near and dear to your heart, and that's really when we look at the opportunity for solar power and wind power on our reservations, we think, where do we start? How do we start? Henry made a very great point about partnering with the technology people so that we're not reinventing the wheel again. That's so important to have that technical capability when you partner with someone. So choose wisely who you partner with. Our tribe is now today a little over 1,600 members. We did reopen our membership up again, and rightly so. The federal government would like us to go away, but we're not going away. We looked at it from the perspective 14 years ago of what is our starting point. We wanted to help our tribal members as much as we could and have a direct impact on their lives. And so for us, that meant the establishment of solar panels and solar energy on our tribal homes and on our elder complexes and on our housing department and on our water department, and establishment of several small microgrid projects. And that's, we started with homes and we just grew it in stages and stages. And we used grant programs that had low match costs. We had a good partner, Grid Alternatives out of Riverside, California. And they've been right by us the whole way. We found creative ways to supply the matching funds for in-kind housing for temporary workers, everything that we could do to reduce the cost and make it affordable for the smaller tribes. So you have to think outside of the box sometimes, and if you have a good partner, they can help you do that. And of course now, most tribes deal with grants on a daily basis. So we know already how we get those matching funds and how we make that work for us. Our second big effort was microgrid projects. And for our housing department, we did a microgrid. We did an above ground 90 kilowatt microgrid. It's very duplicable. You can duplicate it easily. We did some creative energy storage systems for that microgrid so that it has some redundancy. If the power goes out, it's not just generating power down the line. It actually supplies the power that you need. Then from that program, that project, we went on to do our elders units. And we did it above ground in a carport configuration. It was low cost, low match, and again, we did it without a great expenditure of tribal funds. So each year we find a different area we want to work on. We just did our gymnasium. It's a huge gym. Our gym is about 6 times the size of this room. And its ceilings are as tall or taller than this ceiling here. So we just did this. We just finished it and dedicated it about 3 months ago. And so a building that was using $10,000 a month in electricity, we could not afford to use it on a regular basis. we're now be able to use it as much as we want to. So this has got our tribal council, our tribal members thinking about what is the next big step going to be for us? Because it's time to graduate. So we sat down with an energy partner and we said, we want to do a 200 megawatt, 1,400 acre photovoltaic system with a BESS battery storage system accompanying. And along with that, we want to do a 6 or 7 megawatt microgrid for tribal energy only. So that would be to run all our enterprises, our resort, our casino, our hotel, all of our tribal member homes. So we want to become what Henry said, energy independent. The Calusa tribe, west of Sacramento, up on I-5, is energy independent and have gone as far as starting their own consulting services. And they are energy independent. And they did it themselves. That's something you could really be proud of. And that is a goal that tribes can strive for. That's really, it's so linked to sovereignty. It's empowering yourselves to move yourself off of the commercial dependency. And when you can do that, when you reach that point, man, it's a feeling you get inside of you. Just these little projects are great. And I just had this euphoric feeling every time we finished. We did 98% of our homes, of our tribal homes, 98%. We're the most of any, we were, when we were at that point, we were the most solarized reservation in Eastern California, and probably far into upstate California. But we started small, just like every tribe does, every small tribe does, and we never lost sight of our goals. So the benefit is there, the opportunity is there. You've just got to reach out, and you've got to take it, the bull by the horns, and take control of your future. And that's what it's about. It's really is about. And you can't believe how much more, how that will free up capital within the tribe to do other projects that are necessary, that we know we want to pursue for the betterment of our tribes. Not just our elders, but and then the educational factor, the job training aspect of it. We have tribal members that go out on jobs all the time, and they work through the training that they got while they were building their own systems. So just an awesome opportunity here. Don't think it's not within your reach. It is. It is. You just need to pick a starting point and go from that starting point and then go forward. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thanks for everybody being here. It's a big outcome tonight. A lot of people here. I'm glad to see that. My name's Alan Welsh. I'm a tribal member here in Colorado Indian Tribes. I work for Creek Fire Department. Been there since 2006. Firefighter EMT. My mother is a late Brenda Welsh, Mojave. Father's not from this area. I believe in hearing a lot of this about renewable energy. I've been to a few conferences with David. We got invited to Chimawebi for their opening of their gym. It was pretty awesome just to listen to all the good things that they're doing. We took a tour, and I appreciate that with me, Etta, and my assistant fire chief. We're looking into putting renewable energy onto our microgrid onto our supposedly new fire station we're supposed to be building down in Poston. I think we need to start somewhere, and there's a lot of people here interested in this, but I think our tribal leader, our council people need to be here to listen to this, to get ideas from not just us, not just the people here, but the other tribes that are doing things with this. I mean, we need to move up. We need to move on. For our people, we need a reliable energy. We need to stop depending on energy companies when we can do it ourselves. That's all I got to say.
Okay, and then I think that takes us into our lightning round. Next up on our agenda. And this will be technical assistant tips from power engineering companies. First, we will have Mark Peabody from Kinley Horn. And then after that, we will have Robinder Searing from Larson and Tubro, Nicole Hill from the Nature Conservancy, Sean Ahern from Timberline, and then Vinay Kelp from 7G. But here is Mr. Peabody.
Good evening, everybody. My name actually is David Basu. I work with Kimberly Horn and Mark. I'm taking the microphone tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank Jen and Seven Skyline for having us here tonight. Everything I've been hearing is very inspiring, and that's why I'm actually in the renewable energy industry. Kimberly Horn is a full-service planning, environmental engineering consultancy. We have about 120 offices nationally and about 7,000 folks. About 250 of us, including myself, work on renewable energy projects day in and day out, helping folks like you from behind the meter jobs, like we're talking about rooftops, commercial industrial projects to support those projects going renewable, all the way to utility scale. We help develop those projects from greenfield developments and also do final design. Two things really resonated with me tonight. The first one being we have an existential crisis that I firmly believe. I got into this business about 12 years ago because I see it. I have 3 young kids, like a lot of people here. It was inspiring to hear all the young kids here, but I'm doing what I'm doing for my family and for the future of them. And then also just the partnership. One thing that Kimberly Horn brings to the table is partnership. We have 7,000 people, not all in renewables, but I can call on any one of those folks to answer questions. So no problem is too small, no problem is too big for us. I myself, I live in California. I appreciate you guys having me in Arizona. I kind of head the Southwest division of our renewable energy group. And the second part is the partnership aspect. I think a lot of people said that tonight. Don't reinvent the wheel. Ask your trusted advisor. I heard that term already. Kimberly Horn loves that term because we have so many experts in-house on how to manage the bureaucracy and the red tapes and answer your questions, specifically technically. I'm a civil engineer by trade, but we have electrical, structural, hydrologists, geotechs. We can help support everything through and through. So the partnership aspect is huge. We're here to answer any small questions. Please feel free to reach out. Again, no question is too small, and we'd love to support in any way possible. So I appreciate everybody being here. It's a great turnout, and I appreciate Seven Skyline for the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next. Who's next on that list? Robinder. We met this guy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is the disco king on the dance floor. No, just he works in tribal communities. We were up in Maine. There he was in Maine. So he's all over the place. Sure.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, actually. wanted to kind of give you a little bit of introduction. Myself, Robinder Sarang is introduced. Actually working with L&T as managing the national initiative that we have for tribal nations, and that is obviously for the energy sovereignty. And myself also actually today I have Gustav Cruz back there, also dedicated nationally to actually head all the projects that we have for tribal nations. So all these initiatives that we have, just to kind of recap what the initiative is. So for L&T perspective, our initiative is to deliver, end-to-end solutions for tribal nations. And not just any solution, the solutions that actually are vetted out by the tribal nations. It is for their energy sovereignty projects. So those are the solutions we're talking about. So in that, actually, just want to reiterate, about 2.5 years now, I'm working directly, being in the industry for 28 years, working for Larson & Toubro, our company, which is 82 years old. Actually, it's a global company, but humbly here in California and Denver is where we have a couple of our U.S. actually offices as well, where we're supporting out not just tribal nation, but a lot of utilities and a lot of the cities as well in their part of the projects. So not to deviate, just want to share some of the experiences I had for working with tribal nations for the last 2.5 years directly. So we're working nationally, and I tell you, it's been quite a bit of learning for me at least, and which is, as you know, each and every tribal nations has their departments working economical development. It could be the food sovereignty side of it, or it could be their environmental, or the housing. All of these groups are actually working on some kind of initiative, as you all know, right? And that initiative is actually, they're trying to do some project. And everybody's struggling, everybody's has the need to put in some kind of grant application or secure some, also today talk about some kind of financing to actually do the project itself. So seeing all of them, whenever I visit every nation, I see everyone, we work with everyone. And what we start to realize is that they seldomly work with each other. There's not really communicating with each other, and which is kind of one part of the problem, because that's not helping them secure a lot of the money that they could have, or they should be. And that kind of shows up in their grant writing applications. And a lot of the time you're getting projects, all good, great, but you could be getting a lot more if you coordinate each other. So that's just one part of the learning that we see. We started to see that, and we start to help that. Now the other big thing is, if you realize each of the projects that every group working on within the nation has one thing in common, and that's energy. So any project, let's say a food sovereignty project, or any other project we're working on, on the housing or environmental side, everything needs energy. And if you're not talking to each other, on top of that, if you actually don't have an energy master plan, then you're not actually looking at the entire, we talk about, resilience, we talk about sustainability, but if you're not talking and you're not looking at the bigger picture, then how are you going to sustain it? So those things matter. So those things are the kind of things, when I'm going around, I'm watching, I'm saying, okay, we'll help this group, we'll help this group, but how about the entire picture? How are you going to sustain this entire project, each project that you have? And how does it daisy chain with each other? So that's where L&T comes in. So we help you put together energy master plans, do feasibility studies to start with. But when those are done, what we also realize is some of the tribal nations have energy plans, but they're not so comprehensive. what they're not doing is they're not actually marrying up with what the utility, their local utility is doing in that region. What is that they're missing there? How are they going to be more resilient and be actually doing more of the sustainability if they're not looking at the entire picture from that perspective as well? So from that part of it, I think that's another angle that we go in and we should start that conversation. And we actually work with utilities. We're actually going out and making, in some cases, starting the new relationship, or basically working them and aligning them back together. So that's very important again. And that's where another thing we're trying to do, and will be doing with also 7 Skyline as well. Now, if you look at some of our deliverables, so those all fall into the fact that L&T brings in the size, and all of that is all great, but the focus that we bring in has actually from our management to have an actual focus on the tribal nation as a huge company, but thinking that what impacts more is actually the impact that we can bring into the tribal nations by working with you, with your initiatives, with your vision, and making that vision actually deploying it together.
1 minute.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Who's next? Oh, I thought you say you're not over 1 minute. No, again, thank you again. I mean, I can keep going on and on, but I think we're here, myself and Gustav, we're back here the rest of the evening. We're happy to expand on any of the line item on our deliverables, as well as any other questions you have about our deliverables, who we're working with. As I mentioned, we're working nationally with many of the tribal nations, and bringing a lot of expertise in any kind of project. So we work with the local partners, and we actually vet out the technologies. We become the owner's engineer, and from there, actually, we align with the vision that all the tribal nations have, and then bring in all the rest of the teams together. So we're working as a partnership. We have a lot of partnerships, even from here. Anybody that you're working in, we bring them in the team as well as your owner engineer, or any capacity we can work in that project. So technology, platform, sustainability, we have monitoring. Actually, in one of our Fairfield office, we actually have a control room that actually monitors O&M, which brings the sustainability part of it. We can go over that more, don't want to go over 1 minute, but that's where we bring in all the platform, bring all the project, the whole entire community together with dashboarding, and making sure we also give you the training that you need to sustain it and be the sovereignty that we talk about. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Very timely. Next, we'd like to introduce from the Nature Conservancy, Ms. Nicole Hill.
Thanks, Dave. I'll be brief. I'm Nicole Hill with the Nature Conservancy in Arizona. And for those of you who are familiar with our work, we mostly work on protecting lands and waters for wildlife and fish habitat. In more recent years, we've started to be concerned about the climate crisis. And so we started doing work in the renewable energy space. We think that tribal nations in the West have tremendous opportunity to achieve some of their sovereignty goals. And so we're really interested in making small grants, particularly in Arizona, to tribal nations to do some of the reconnaissance and planning that they'll need to make business decisions. So really, we just want to support you in making informed decisions, hiring the technical expertise that you need, and doing the planning and community work that is necessary to move a project forward. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in doing something with your tribe, and there might be some grant funds available to do that. The other thing that we've been contemplating is a small loan program. So I'm doing some needs assessment right now to kind of understand the needs within tribal communities around loans, no interest, low interest types of loans, and working with the philanthropic community to figure out how to move that forward, particularly in Arizona where I'm based in Phoenix. So those are the only announcements that I have. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you very much. Next we have Sean Aher from Timberline.
So I have a slide somewhere. Maybe it's going to get shown. There we go. The first line in there I had trouble with. I rewrote it and I rewrote it and I rewrote it. Tribal energy uncertainty. I lived for over 20 years in New Mexico and worked with most of the 19 pueblos there. I've expanded that where I'm working with tribes in Arizona, California, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Northern Nevada, Montana. Energy uncertainty is the killer of tribes, in my opinion. It stunts the growth of tribes. It decreases the agency that the tribes have in their health, their food security. It all starts with energy. So what we do is we've put together what I've been told from other folks is a world-class team to solve the energy independence and sovereignty problems for tribes. I've heard the chief mention partnerships. Have those partnerships. Well, I'm proud to have partnerships with Seven Skyline. I have also partnered with Calusa Indian Energy, who is an energy independent tribe. They are my solar partner. I have state-of-the-art energy storage technology that allows us to bring in warranted performance for over 20 years. Everybody, I don't want to knock batteries, I don't want to knock lithium, but the fact remains, 40% of the pollution that is caused by lithium-ion batteries is just the mining of lithium alone. It is a chemical process, it's an electrochemical process, and what we offer is 100% biodegradable product by using graphene and supercapacitors. People say, supercapacitors, what are those? They've been around since World War II. We put them in ships, we put them in radars, and that's what my background was once upon a time. I'm not a young man anymore. But we have the technology to control those supercapacitors to release the energy how it needs to be released so that we're giving agency back to the tribes and giving sovereignty back to the tribes. And what we want to do is be able to provide self-ownership, self-production, create your own tribal utility, have your own economic development plans. I've heard talk about casinos and data centers and things like that. Casinos are data centers. There's more computers out in that room than I bet there are in the rest of the tribal lands here. And they're called slot machines. So they take energy. So what can we do to help you with that? So our company right now, we're putting in a 1.5 megawatt microgrid at the Gitaville Indian Rancheria in Ukiah, California. And we're tying that to 19 nanogrids or 16 nanogrids that we're putting in for transient homes for homeless indigenous people from their tribe. We're putting in solar and energy storage in for Native American youth centers up on the west coast of California, all to bring economic development. For those transient homes, Pacific Gas and Electric, the big California utility, wants $15,000 per residence, 500 square foot residence, to interconnect it to their grid. We're not doing that. We're putting solar on the roof, we're putting energy storage in each unit, and we're taking them off the grid. So I've got some flyers back there on the table next to Gizmos. I'm here all night. I look forward to working with anybody and everybody, and the one thing that I do is, if we do a project together, you'll actually see me out in the field. I am the boots on the ground guy. I am the owner of the company, but I take ownership of every project that I do, and I'm on the ground with it. So thank you very much, everybody.
He is not going to be here all night on the casino floor. I know you Indian guys are like, he's going to gamble all night. No, he'll be here. So we want to do a quick recognition. Seven Skyline formed in 2016. As we progress, we want to take just a quick minute to recognize the elders of Seven Skyline. Bill and Julia Peterson, if you would come up, we want to acknowledge you. Bill is stepping down as our CFO. He has decided him and his wife, to go hang out together. And they've been together for so long, I think they're just one person walking. And so we'd like to acknowledge you. We'd like to give you a little token of our appreciation and tell you thank you. And we appreciate all your service and all the help you helped in developing Seven Skyline. And so, that's for you. That's to put your money in at the casino. You wear it in the front. And when you win, you just put that money in like this. So thank you. You want to say just a quick word?
It's just been a pleasure working with these two.
Thank you very much.
And this, my first story, is not doing really quite well. So, hello? And then he said himself.
And that's why Bill's retiring.
We are so proud of this company. Yeah. The daughter and son, who's now part of the company, and the fact that Dave Harper has worked with Jennifer diligently to make this a real success. Considering all of you here, you can see why I can say thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I don't work that hard. I'm just for the ride. So I was just like, anyways, and then registration. If you haven't registered, please, Shawnee, raise your hand. All right, make sure you contact them so they get your name, number, so we can actually, from here we're going to another tribe to do this, and then we've been asked to go up to Maine with the tribes up there, and then we've been asked to shoot on over to Hawaii and catch some waves over there. So we're creating this movement, and this is the first one, and so we're very happy. I want to thank my tribal membership for coming out. Appreciate you. We're going to get industry for the good know of our people. And as the elders always said, always believe in your people, right? Always believe in your people. Okay, we also like to thank Pastor Grissom and Mrs. Grissom. If we have a gift for you here, this is a traditional made from the tribes of Maine. We put a request in, and this is handmade by the native people there, the Passamaquoddy people, I believe, maybe? Penobscot people, handmade. We put the order in, and they give it through. There are no human remains in there. It is a traditional gift. Pastor Grissom, thank you. Always being the champion of our people. I know you said you're Indian, but I don't get it still, but we're working on it. Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to thank Chairman Lodge from the Chippewa tribe for coming out, for being a great host to us when we went up there. You're doing remarkable work, and Chairman, I got a gift for you. Where'd he go? Elvis left the building? All right, then Alan Welch, we got a gift for you. Thank you. Alan is actually works in the fire department, and he's also the chairman of the Mojave Elders Committee. So we were actually, I used to be chairman, and then they threw me out, and so then they threw me back in, and then I got thrown out again. But that's how us Indians are. We just love each other to death. This is also another gift from Penobscot, handmade, traditional gift of the people from Maine. All right, thank you, sir. Actually, I was at the Chippewa in Palm Springs, and I passed out, and Alan stayed with me, and I was in the ambulance and showed up at ER, and I woke up, Etta and Alan were there with me, and they said they will leave no stone unturned. And so they stayed with me while I came to, and I just appreciate them because what Mojave passes out in 125 but me? And so, actually, we want to recognize our presenters. Please, we're on the World Wide Web. We're broadcasting live from on YouTube. And so, we're recording this, but this streamed out live. And so, we just want to give a good tribal welcome and thank to our presenters. Mr. Bob Blake, we got a gift for you. And Ginger, if you would stand up, please. These are gifts that Ginger handmade, our local artist. She does pottery, and she's our wealth of resource, and she said, I'm making that for Bob Blake. Big wish. Next, we'd like to thank Paul Deerhouse. Paul, again, if you want to get a picture with Ginger, ask her husband. The Indian way to do it. We're not like that here. And go home. Don't be hanging around here next week. You go home. Matt Ritter, again. Matt, you go home. It's not our way to be passing you around when you're not supposed to be home. And we thank you. Again, if you there's Ginger there who made that. Ask her husband. Give him a couple of dollars. Chief Red Cloud, we'd like to thank you. Here's a gift for you also. We appreciate you and thank you very much for coming all that way. Wow, appreciate it. For the lightning round, folks, if you can come up, we got a gift for you. We just want to tell you thank you, and we really appreciate this because this is for our tribal people, and who knows, you may get a gig, and then you'll have to be here, and then you'll be like, I don't want to see those Indians, but if you're taking our dollar, you better get here. So yeah, the lightning round. Thank you guys, there we go. Where's Roe Bender at? He makes a lot of money, but we're going to give him a gift. Go ahead. This is for you. There you go. Mr. Roe Bender. There you go. Thank you. Nicole Hill. Where are you, bees? Okay, is that it? Wow. Okay, great. Moving right along. Now, Amanda, are you still here? Please stand up. Tribal member Amanda Barrera. Stand up. So why am I saying Amanda Barrera? Why is that important? Well, because our next presentation is called the Mega Gizmo, right? The Mega Gizmo. And so out of the blue, we were sitting there thinking, gosh, it would be great if we had a solar that could go off the grid and if our houses could just run by itself. If we could just do that. And actually, not really, we didn't think that way. We thought about it after we met Erica and him from the Gizmo. And we thought about it, and then I was asked, do you know a tribal member who has a house that maybe could be the demonstration house for the solar, that she could run off-grid if she wanted to, and that it would reduce her power bill from $300, $400 to maybe $80, $90. Well, she didn't know it, but we picked her, and we asked her if she would be the demonstration house. So we told her you had to clean her yard, pick up the dog poo, close your windows, nobody wants to see in, take your trash, take that Indian car, move it off to the back, you don't want anybody hurt. And so she agreed that she would be the demonstration house for the Gizmo. So, 7th Skyline said, we're going to buy that Gizmo, $17,000, and we're going to put it up at Amanda's house to show the tribe this is possible. This is possible. And to show the tribe the reduction in the power bill. But what's really important is Solar for All. There's a company called Owista. Owista won the Solar for All at $7 billion. And so they helped sponsor tonight. And they're going to be in Tucson to do the presentation and how the tribes can apply for those monies so tribal members can get this gizmo down in the valley for elders or whomever the tribe decides. But the tribe has to apply. The tribe has to go out and find those houses, those elders, that this will work. They can apply for the money. and the money can be, the 7 billion can be used to pay for this gizmo right here. So it's here, it's in the parking lot. So as you finish, you can go out and look at it. You can even plug in your electric vehicle and run your house. So this is really important for us. We wanted to bring this to show you, and especially way down in the southern end, right, where people forget about you. People they don't pay attention to you. All they think about is, here you are again for your LIHEAP, asking for money for your power bill. Well, all the money we're paying out, why can't we apply and have a reduction to our power, to our people, for our people, right? And it's like 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's that simple, that simple. And so the thing is, like Alan said, we should have tribal leaders here. And if they first got elected, they should be here. Because we need, this is the thing I always get how crazy I'm about. My mom always said, you gotta go to the giant, the sleeping giant. And when you rattle the sleeping giant, things will happen. And I told her, I said, well, who's the sleeping giant? And she said, it's the people. The people are the sleeping giant. When there's a movement, when you want per capita, when you want things for ourselves, the government's not going to do it because they need someone to move it. So it needs the people to move it. We moved it for per cap, we moved it for this casino revenue, we moved it for school clothing. We need to move if we want to have these projects. Look all around us. The county has their solar. There's another one going up at Vidal Junction. Those are other people that are taking what we can have. And so now we're here with this gizmo. Take a look at it. Open your eyes, open your ears. Think about it. Think about that southern end. Think about grandma, auntie. Think about 100 homes, 50 homes. The impact that this could have on our people. So I'd like to introduce Mega Gizmo and Tony.
Thank you so much, everyone here, part of this Tribal Energy Symposium. This is super exciting. I'm going to be up a little closer to the front here because I'm going to be tapping the space bar. So Magnus, you want to come up further? That way we get to be closer to you. Hi everyone, I am Antonia, also known as Gizmo Girl. I have gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's and what's it's galore.
Alright, hello everyone, how are you doing? So we are Team Gizmo Power, and we have developed the Mega. So I'm here with Antonia, and in the back we got Erica and Achim. I think we should have David Harper up here, because the way he presented it, I could not do as good, but let's try this.
Can I go real quick? So we are a family-started company. I started this company alongside my parents. Then my friend Magnus, we met during our masters at UC Berkeley, and so now we're very excited to share with you our mobile electricity generating appliance, or as my mom likes to joke, Mom, I'm doing this for you, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's make electricity great again. Is our new approach. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make electricity great again. So here you go, to start us off.
So we talked already tonight a lot about the barriers that people face when they want to go solar, but let's quickly go over some of them. So it's expensive. There's highways which might pose a danger to solar installations. Just go through them. The roof is unsuitable. They plan to move, so they don't want a permanent installation. They need a contractor to install it, which add a lot of soft cost. There's interconnection troubles. You need to do a environmental study if you want to interconnect. Yep. And lastly, you might be a renter, so you don't even own your land, so you can't install anything permanent. A lot of issues that people face. Now, where does the Mega come in? The Mega is portable, powerful, plug-in, and patented. What does this mean? It is not a permanent structure. We take solar from being a construction project to a plug-in appliance, something that you buy, you take home, you put in your driveway, you plug into a regular 240 plug like you do with your dishwasher, and it is generating power for you. It is generating enough power that it can power your entire home, or for a large part at least. It's a significant reduction in your power bill.
And so an interesting thing to note is this is something that can then be passed on from generation to generation. It's something you own for your life. It's something your family will own for future generations. And we were discussing earlier how solar can maybe thought of as like, oh no, it's like taking over real estate. The idea is we're using existing real estate. We're using existing paved sunny driveways, paved sunny parking lots. All of that, it can be multi-use. You could shade your car, power a building. There's an off-grid version, but the idea is we're going to make it plug and play. So we'll get right into that afterwards.
So let's talk a few numbers. The device costs $25,000, but tribal nations can get a 60 to 70% tax rebate by the Inflation Reduction Act, which means that you only end up paying $7,500 to $10,000. Depending on your area, it generates more than $2,000 a year for you in reduced energy bills, which means that in just 3.5 to 4.5 years, this has paid itself back. And because you own the device, it will start generating money for you for the next 25 to 30 years of its lifetime. That is significant money that is coming into the tribe. Now, also an interesting fact, it saves over 5,000 kilograms of CO2. So beside that, it's generating
Pounds, not kilograms.
Pounds, sorry, European.
He's Dutch.
So beside that, it's an enormous economic opportunity for the tribes. It is also incredibly good for the environment.
And so what David Harper was mentioning was solar for all. That is what helps finance that. After the tax rebate, the additional percentage is 60 to 70% off. That's what solar for all would fund. And we need your guys' help to make sure that you guys get that mega discount, so to speak. So here are our ideal deployments. So originally we were thinking with renters or licensing this off to solar installers, and then also existing interconnected homes and small businesses. But in our ideal way, thoughts are with tribal nations act as your own authorities having jurisdiction, meaning you're your own communities where you're able to approve your own systems, and so that way it's a lot easier for you guys to get these installed a lot quicker. Versus anything outside tribal nations, there's a lot more red tape involved with installing brand new, innovative, strange gizmos that have never really been seen before. So we figured we should take advantage of that, which is what Red Cloud Renewables has done. So we can thank the Red Clouds. Thank you both, Gloria and Henry, for leading the way with us for that. Out on Solar Warrior Road in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. So we have our first official system out there, which, interesting enough, is the most efficient system out of all of the prototypes, pilot sites that we have installed everywhere. If you go on our website, we have generation data of every single mega that we have installed, and so far now, the one in South Dakota is generating the most, because temperature-wise, when you learn, if you take his classes, you'll learn that actually colder temperatures have a higher efficiency with panels, since the heat actually makes, if the panels are too hot, they won't generate as much. So now I'm going to get into a very exciting thing, which is called the Vega, the vehicular electricity generating appliance. So we're taking the mobile aspect to another step. So the Vega has not yet been, we haven't yet manufactured the Vega. It's still very much in a conceptual stage. But we've applied for American-made Solar Prize, and so it's taking the Mega to another stage where we make it to become a street-legal trailer, essentially. So that way you can tow it off-road, and it's also street-legal. You keep it as a trailer, and the same idea. If there's a hurricane, if you need to move it somewhere for an emergency situation, you take it with you. So the idea is you combine your solar inverter, your vehicle-to-grid vehicle, and your the bidirectional EV chargers, and you combine all of that together to create one single product, the Vega. So, like the brightest star in Lyra constellation, the Vega is poised to guide the way to animated future. I did that animation on PowerPoint. So here, I just want to take the next page.
Right, so where do the Mega and the Vega come in? They're not replacing rooftop solar or community solar, but it's a niche that is currently not being occupied. So for people that own their real estate, that own their home, own their land, rooftop or ground mount solar is a perfect solution. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have control of that space, that don't own their space. Now, for people that don't have any control over any sunny space, you could go community solar.
A community solar has a lot of soft costs. You need to usually upgrade your grid. You need to have interconnection. You need to do environmental studies. Where we come in is for people that have control of a sunny space but don't own it. So if you're renting and you have a driveway that is sunny, you can install the Mega or the Vega, and you can hop on the solar bandwagon too.
Another thing to add, you can also have one even if you do own your house. We're not saying, oh, if you're a homeowner, you cannot have a Mega. That's not what we're saying. We're saying it now it's an option for renters who do not own their homes. And interesting, here's a little, you'll get to see this diagram on our beautiful poster back there. The idea is we've created a plug-in solution. We're working now with many different labs on writing a new electrical standard for plug-in generating appliances. So people normally say, oh, you should be out there to set the standard. We are quite literally writing a brand new standard because the electrical safety standards for plug-in generating appliances does not exist in the US. It exists in Europe. So what, oh my, we went all right, Vega. Okay, oh yeah, there we go. Oh, I wanted to show you the plug-in solution there. I just wanted you to get a nice visual. The idea is you plug it in to a 240 volt outlet, which is not your regular smaller outlet. It's the bigger one that's more powerful, which is what you use if you have a dryer, because it's powering your entire house. So depending on the size of the home, then our vision, of course, we want to scale up and then have each of the homes or even buildings and small businesses to be able to have control and have ownership of the electricity that they consume. And here's a visual on the comparisons between the Vega and the Mega. We don't have to get into it too much, but if you have any further questions, we're here to take questions, and if not, please come see our actual Mega set up outside in the parking lot. Look for an identical flag like that, our Gizmo Mega things. Well, interesting enough, Gizmo Power, fun fact, is actually an acronym. I usually don't do this because you've gotten rid of it, but it's an acronym for Garage Interior Storable Modular Photovoltaic on Wheels with Integrated EV Charger Rack. Gizmo Power. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions, if not, feel free, come on outside and check it out. It's pretty cool. We have pamphlets, information back there, and a huge shout out to Seven Skyline and everyone here for supporting us. And thank you all to being here and for engaging here and laughing with us. And let's make some change. Solar on Wheels coming to your driveway.
Take it away from Gizmo. Okay, so if you have any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, there are cards at your table. You can write them down and we'll pick them up and we'll do our best to get back to you on the questions that you have. So this concludes our program for today. We'd like to thank our staff and everybody for coming out. If you want to go out and follow the Gizmo Queen, you can follow her out, go around and take a look at the Gizmo and see. And then if you get a chance within the next month or two, swing by Amanda's house, you'll see it up there, and you can take a look at it. And thank you everybody for coming. Appreciate it.